Hi guys, welcome back to another Vikash projects. In today's project, what I'll be doing is continuing working on turning kombucha into actual usable leather. And before we get started, if you're a new viewer, well, welcome. But maybe you should check out this first video where I actually show the main procedure of making it, and then you can come back to this one. If you're a recurring viewer, welcome back. I know that this video has been long awaited for a lot of you. And yeah, sorry about the delay. Finishing up my thesis and also a family holiday got kind of in the way, but it's here now. So anyway, as you may know, one of the big problems that I mentioned in the first video with this leather is the tendency to delaminate. Yeah, and it's really a big problem with a lot of use. And if you try to make like stuff like with sewing machines, the delamination starts becoming very apparent, and this is somewhat of a problem because it affects the structure, the aspect of the leather, and yeah, it's just not good for long-term use. So this will be the main thing that I will be tackling in this video, and I thought maybe this video could be have a bit more of a different format. So here I will try to show you my thinking process and how exactly I went on with finding solutions for these problems. So how exactly did I figure out how to fix the delamination issue? Well, the first thing that came to mind for me was, why not just grow a pellicle between the layers of the pellicle that I already have? So basically get the 5 layers, put them together, just as I normally do to make the leather. Then put it in another container with some kombucha medium, and then wait a little bit for the new pellicle to form and to create this matrix of pellicle that can then behave as one. So this would be the ideal solution. Somebody also suggested this in the previous video, so yeah, it is an interesting idea and an ideal one because no more complexity, is basically just repeating the incubation step. No more ingredients besides this one. The only disadvantage is you actually have to wait 2 weeks. So, but even so, I think it would be more than acceptable. So that's what I try to do. Ideally, this is what it would happen if I did it. But what actually happened was the pellicle only formed on top of the uppermost layer and on the sides. As you can see here in the image, it didn't really form between the layers. So I think the reason for this is, as you probably know, the pellicle forms on the surface because it needs oxygen. The oxygen stimulates the bacteria to produce this cellulose. And while on the sides you have open liquid, the oxygen diffusion is high, like normal. But when you have all these layers, especially compacted, you have to think you have at least 5 centimeters of just cellulose forming a barrier to the oxygen diffusion. And I think this lack of diffusion is what doesn't enable the bacteria to form more cellulose between the layers. So unfortunately, it didn't really work out. Ideally, maybe if you created like a pressurized chamber and you filled it up with a lot of O2 to really increase the concentration, maybe this could increase the diffusion and help the production of pellicle between the layers. As of now, I didn't really try this, but maybe in the future. I don't know. If anybody is interested, maybe you could also have a go at it. Be my guess. But yeah, moving on. This didn't really work, so what now? What did I do? Well, I thought, well, I guess we need to use a glue, right? If we want to stick two things together, use glue. So the first thing that came to mind was the wheat flour glue, which is like a craftsman's trick. I think it's used a lot in like paper making and stuff, and like bookmaking, binding. But yeah, it's pretty simple. It's cheap, easy to make. It's eco-friendly and non-toxic, which is one of the requirements for my leather project, as you probably already noticed. The only disadvantages is that it's soluble, and I guess it degrades relatively fast. So if you want a long-lasting leather, this might not be ideal. But anyway, I did try it. So to make the glue, you just add some flour to water, mix it up, and try to not get those clumps like I did, until you get like this smooth syrup, kind of paste. And yeah, I just want it to be somewhat thick. Remember that once you cool it off, it will become thicker, so it doesn't need to be completely glued up. But yeah, then I just did what I've done before. I just laid out the different layers of pellicle and applied a generous amount of this wheat glue to all of the different layers. It's basically kind of like making a lasagna. Yeah, like putting bechamel sauce on the different layers. That's basically what I've been doing here. So also make sure you really flatten it and make sure there are no bubbles. This is really important. You don't want to be too rough because you don't want to squeeze out all the paste, but you also want to make sure there are no bubbles, so really be careful. Yeah, here just doing all the layers. Yeah, it's not too complicated, as you can see. Just applying it. Here I'm just cleaning a bit of the excess of the paste. Here I'm applying 2 layers of baker's paper, and yeah, then it goes to the oven at around 50 degrees Celsius until it gets dry. It was pretty much the same procedure as before. Here I'm showing you some of the bubbles that I missed out, so these are kind of important things to make sure you have a good surface. But yeah, you can see the color is not super dark. That's because I applied a layer of baker's paper on top. If you don't apply it on top, it will become that dark leather-like color. So it's just preference, I suppose. I will show other types later on. But yeah, then I just remove it from the paper. Again, if you saw the first video, this is nothing too weird, too strange. It's quite the same procedure. I then applied a generous amount of glycerin to the leather and let it absorb all the way. And that was pretty much it. Now we have our leather with wheat glue. While I did get some good quality leather with the wheat glue method, as you can see here, and it doesn't seem to have much delamination like without glue, as you can see, I was still not really satisfied with it because since it's wheat glue, first of all, it's quite prone to degradation by, biological degradation, just maybe mold and stuff like that. And not only that, the solubility in water was really a negative for me. If I'm trying to make a product that is supposed to be long lasting and actually allows you to use it in real leather products, I don't know, shoes, jackets, gloves, they need to be somewhat resistant to water. I thought this was really not the best idea. It's good for if you want to try it at home, but it's not the best if you want a really good product. So one night, after many nights of thinking about it and trying different things and nothing working, I came across this video while scrolling on YouTube from Nighthawk in Light, a channel that I really enjoy. And in this video about making aerogels from different materials, like potato starch, while I was watching the video, something really piqued my interest at a certain point. See if you can guess what it is.
This is a water-insoluble, deep-pore curable gel.
Yeah, so he just described a material that is water-insoluble, so it's resistant to water, but it's still eco-friendly, safe to handle, and biodegradable. This is exactly what I'm actually looking for. So then I tried to do it at home. Okay, so I just popped it out of the mold, and you can see it looks like one of those memory foams, because it's like gel-like, and it seems very weak and fragile, but it's actually holding on quite well. I unfortunately dropped it like this, and I was expecting it to break, but you can see it has a lot of flex. Like, it can handle it quite well, and it maintains the shape. It's very interesting, material, actually. It's very wet. The texture, I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. It's like, it's not like gelatin. It's something else. It's like silky smooth. But it's so weird. It's like wet, but not really. And it's just water that comes out. It's nothing like viscous. It's so weird. I'm gonna let it drop. Oh, it broke. And after trying it, I thought maybe if I applied it to the leather, this could also work as a good water-resistant adhesive. But before trying that, to give you some understanding of how it works, alginate are these long molecules. They form these polymers that come from seaweed, kind of like agar. And this alginate is soluble in water when it's associated with the sodium ions. When you introduce calcium ions, since they have a 2 plus ionic charge, they make them bind to each other via this calcium bridges, these ionic connections. And this is what turns the gel from like a viscous liquid into an actually solid gel. In the video, you used calcium carbonate, or basically limestone, to dissolve with an acid that then releases that calcium ions that are associated with the carbonate ion. And by releasing that calcium, it leads to the substitution of sodium by the calcium, creating the gel. So it allows you to turn a liquid into a gel just by acidifying the solution. Kombucha leather is actually naturally acidic by the acetic acid that it produces during the fermentation process. And I thought maybe I can just use the calcium carbonate mixed with the sodium alginate, and when I apply it to the leather, the acidic interface of the leather will cause it to gelify on its own. And I did try it, and it actually worked quite well. I was very surprised. You see, it's not liquid anymore. It formed a gel due to the acidity of the leather, the pellicle. You see, in terms of feeling, it's very like homogeneous. Let me turn on the light. It's very homogeneous, and the boundary between the pellicle and the actual gel, it's like smooth, very smooth. This one was the older one. You can see it very well because the white disintegrates with the acid, because it's the calcium carbonate reacting to produce CO2. You can actually see some of the bubbles that it formed. This is another issue, but I think it's just about reducing the amount of calcium carbonate. You don't actually need that much. But yeah, it's almost disappeared. You can maybe check with the reflection. Yeah, it's a very smooth and like I'm trying to touch the gel and push it with my finger quite forcibly, and it's sticking to the leather. You see the boundary there? This is like pellicle, and this is the gel on top. It's like soft, but you see I'm doing quite a bit of force and it's not moving. Okay, so now that indeed it does work, the gel polymerizes with just the contact with the leather, I decided to develop a formula to get the best combination possible for the ideal gel. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the actual formula. So the first thing you want to do is just measure some calcium carbonate powder, about 1 gram here. Then you add 200 grams of water for each 1 gram of calcium carbonate. You don't need to spill it, I just suck. Make sure it's well mixed so you don't get clumps kind of like this. So this is not ideal because it will form large bubbles, so don't want that. Then you add 2 grams of sodium alginate, so 2 for each 1 of calcium carbonate. It will form these like gel clumps, but it's normal, don't worry. You just have to leave it for a few hours or like overnight, and it will be dispersed on the next day. It's really not a problem. You can see here the next day, it's all homogeneous and well mixed. So yeah, it's pretty much ready to use with your leather. It's quite simple. I prefer to leave it in the fridge so the reaction is as slow as possible. And yeah, you can start. Okay, so now when you start actually layering the leather, just as before, it's pretty much the same procedure. The only difference is that the liquid is a lot more fluid and it's not hot, so there's no danger of burning yourself as opposed to the wheat glue use. But yeah, again, just make the lasagna, spread it out. You have about, from my experience, about 15 minutes if you chill the solution. You have about 15 minutes to actually apply it before it starts to gelify really hard. But yeah, it's, I would say, a lot simpler. You don't need to apply as much, I would say. But yeah, you can see here how it's starting to gelify. It pretty much works. And then you just need to put it in the oven just as before at 50°C or something like that, just under boiling. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That was pretty much everything I wanted to show for this video. To my final remarks on these two glue methods. Well, they are pretty much the same, I would say so. But again, I think the wheat glue is probably a lot less optimal for regularly used items. So what I would say is, if you're planning on using maybe this leather for like a book, to make those book covers, maybe you should use the wheat glue. I guess it's already in part of that hobby, so you probably already know how to use it. But if you're planning on doing gloves, maybe cosplay, stuff that might get humid and used like outside and stuff like that, I would definitely go for the Alginate glue. But anyway, I think what I'm gonna actually do to test this out is make a wallet out of each leather from each glue type. And then with the use and everything, I think that will give me a good idea of if they're really working well. So maybe in the next video I'll show you me doing that. The other advantage that I feel from the Alginate is actually not only making it, it's maybe a bit more tedious because it takes a bit more time to get everything mixed, but you can just leave it in the fridge. Like, you can make a large batch and just use it over time. I still have some in the fridge, so I could just use more. So with the wheat glue, you kind of have to, I guess, heat it up every time. Yeah, you also have that problem, the burning risk. So yeah, I would say the Alginate is a lot nicer in my opinion, and I will probably work on making sure this will be my main type, and I'll try to produce a lot more. The leather didn't actually come as good as I expected for the Alginate, but I think it's because the leather I used was 3 months old. I kept it like frozen in my freezer, and maybe the frozen over time, especially 3 months, it kind of displaces the fibers in a way that affects the quality, because I did exactly the same procedure and it just looks a bit worse. That's, I think, pretty much everything I wanted to mention on this video. Hopefully the next few videos on the topic will come a bit sooner now. I plan on getting into dyeing the leather. I'm already working on that, and also making like conditioners and stuff to really make the leather usable. So I think that's something that will really come soon. But yeah, for the dyes, I'm already experimenting quite a bit, and I think they're looking quite good. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. If you like the video, please like, subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. As you can probably tell, I'm still working on formats and yeah, just working on editing skills. So let me know what you thought. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.